Got some big news, okay? We've been putting out content literally 6 years, okay? December 29th, 2021 was 6-year anniversary of putting out content on YouTube. Huge shout out to Dylan for all he's done. Let him know in the comments, man, you love Dylan, okay? Because I do too. But I want to add something really quick. We're about to launch and release a brand new Rising Star podcast. And really what that's focused on is we highlight like big time guests all the time. People are making 100 grand, $500,000, $1 million, 70 billion, whatever, right? And we do all these like big time interviews, power player interviews. You see them literally when I'm sitting right here, right in front of the canvas. They're over there, I'm over here, they're in the studio, whatever. You saw the big one with Marlon, Homeless to 100. Like you've seen all these things, right? Well, what I really wanted to change up from our content to give you more of an inside look is I want to interview people that are in our Rising Star membership that maybe aren't successful yet, right? They believe in themselves. Maybe they don't. They're winning. Maybe they're not, right? They're making a lot of money. Maybe they're broke, okay? I'm going to change it up. Like people don't normally do that, but I want to interview those people that are new, struggling, or doing good that people can learn from, but they're not a power player yet. You know, like let's just call it what it is, but they're okay with really being vulnerable and sharing what they're going through. So yes, it's an interview, but it's also going to be kind of like a live coaching session. Okay. So if you have interest in being on this, like Kumasi Hopkins, who's our very first interview that I'm about to do like a little live interview and coaching and talk to, it's pretty cool. I'm hoping you check it out. But we talked a lot about like activity and how you have specific things that you can do from an activity standpoint to go drive results immediately. And it's funny, Dylan, because we had already released this. I don't know if I still have the text. I'm gonna look real quick, but he texted me a few weeks after the interview and said, I did what you said. He said, I just made my first, this was December 13th, by the way. He said, I just made my first sell, $1,320. Fire emojis, let's go, right? He said, I just did what you said. I made the appointment. I went to their home. I worked with them to help them close. Their sister gave me the email paperwork, whatever, right? But thank you so much for the words of encouragement and advice. More coming soon. Well, he'd never made a sell before. So we jump on, we do the interview. I'm excited to show you, but that's what we're doing the Rising Star podcast because I want to help agents. I want to pour into you. I want to spend time with you, whether you're super successful or not. Your story matters, your message matters, your success matters, and I want to highlight you, and I want to coach you. I want to mentor you. I want to train you. I want to pour into you, but I also want other people to learn from maybe your successes, also your struggles, right? So we're going to do that. Before we go to this, okay, we show you our first ever episode of the Rising Star podcast. Again, if you want me to be interviewed, you want like a live coaching / podcast episode, make sure you go to CodyAskins.com/Rising Star. Join the Rising Star membership. I'm going to be choosing people in that to showcase. So hopefully, just like Kumasi, you'll be the next one. Enjoy the episode.
Go.
Welcome to the first episode ever of the Rising Star podcast. Every Friday, 8 a.m. Every Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today, I'm excited for the Rising Star because, okay, there are people in the industry that are not making $1 bajillion a year yet, but they're a rising star. They have confidence. They have a belief. They're coachable. They're excited. We want to really help them, give them ideas, let them share their story, maybe help along the way. And so our first ever episode of Rising Star, I'm really excited for Kumasi Hopkins out of Queens, New York. Kumasi, welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Dude, first ever Rising Star podcast, man. What do you think?
I think that this is really dope. I think that this is going to do a lot for other people in my position, in that Rising Star position, who really believe in themselves.
Yeah, man. I mean, so when we talk about belief, like how old are you, by the way?
I'm 24, actually, just turned.
Dude, congrats, man. Happy late birthday.
Thank you.
So 24, and how long have you been in the insurance industry?
About the same amount of time I've been 24. It's been about a month.
Okay, cool, man. About a month. Okay, good. So you're very new to it.
Yeah.
You're not making $1 bajillion a year yet, you know?
No, not yet.
Yeah. What's why this industry? What really stood out to you?
So what stood out to me most at first was the potential for financial freedom, but also flexibility in time. I feel like time is such a resource that you never get back. And everybody should have the opportunity to be their own boss. I really value things like that, because I've spent time in corporate America where I really put
Mm.
in my best for these companies, and then at short notice, for whatever reason they may deem possible or necessary, I'd been let go from a position, you know. And so I feel that if you're able to be your own boss and really put all of that same amount of energy into your own business,
Yeah.
while also though helping other people, that's the best position to be in.
Yeah. Dude, very well spoken, man, for first ever podcast with me, brand new to the business. I mean, yeah, that's what really why I don't know your message really stood out to me, by the way, because for those listening, we put out requests. Hey, who would like to be on the Rising Star podcast? We want to help you, right? We want to show you off to the world, but we also want to learn about you and tell your story and really get to know you and what you have going on. And your message really stood out. Um, I think you were under the secret life insurance agent on IG. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right, dude. I love that.
yeah,
Can I share what you wrote?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you responded to my story, and said, "Hey, I think it would be dope to have me on an episode because I'm a 100% fresh insurance broker with nothing in the bank. This was very vulnerable, by the way. Facing homelessness with my dog. I'm sure there are a bunch of other people in my position. If we made a video based around that, I think it would help a lot of people. I don't know where I'm going to strike gold, but I know that I don't have it in me to give up." And that really stood out to me, because you're going through a lot. You believe in yourself, um, and you know that you're going to strike gold. Like, have you always had that confidence and belief in yourself along the way?
Yeah and no, you know what
Okay.
I mean? Because it's like there life does a thing, you know, you'll put your best foot forward, and then sometimes nothing will come of it. Sometimes actually you will feel like you've taken 10 steps back, you
Yeah.
know. But like to reference or to touch on that part where I said I don't have it in me to give up, it's like I can't even explain it. You know what I mean? It's not like I sat down and a million times over was like, no, we're gonna persevere, we're gonna be determined, XYZ. It's just I get upset, and then I know the next morning I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna keep going at it. You know,
Yes.
I'm gonna keep trying and I'm gonna keep doing it, because the moment that you stop, the chances are zero. So even
Yeah.
if your chances are like 5%, that's so much better than zero, you
Yes.
know?
Dude, so well said, by the way. He's right. For those listening, man, if you feel like, hey, dude, I'm in Kamasi's position, talk to us in chat below in comments, once you get a chance to watch this. Because really, I mean, he's right. Like, if you don't quit, you can't fail. And he's figured out that, dude, as long as I stay in this thing and I push and I persist and I get in front of people and I do my best, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna have success. What's been the biggest thing that you've learned so far over this last month or so?
The mindset, how much of it is about mindset, and in ways that you can apply to other parts of your life. I feel like the fact that so much of training is really spent on building up the
Mhm.
agents from the inside, that's like so important, and I think that that's really cool. All of that I've learned with the mindset training has helped me in other areas of life.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, I do know that, specifically in life, man, there's just a lot that I mean, we're always learning, right? We're always a student of the game. Like, there's a lot of things that I just continue to learn every single day, right? As long as we put that mindset, like you're talking about, forth, there's no doubt we will. Um, as you think about Kumasi through, like, as a child, who were you, man? Talk to me about your childhood, where you've been, how you grew up, and what led you to where you are today.
I grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens, which is not as dangerous of a neighborhood as people would think from the outside, but it's also not known for its, fountains of wealth and opportunities and things like that.
Yep.
I grew up, I had a brother and sister. I still have them. They are still alive.
That's awesome.
They're 15 now. My mom and dad were in the house, which is something that I was very fortunate to have growing up in this neighborhood, um, up to about the age of 17. Then my parents did split, and it did cause a rift within my family. My parents, first of all, let me backtrack real quick. They also like have accomplished amazing things in their own life. My father, he got a Grammy. My mother was a dancer and she was on the Grammys and stuff.
Wow.
So they are definitely part of what in me is like, no, I have what it takes to do this. You know what I mean? And and although they got those things, we still though are in, the I would say middle class, maybe even a little bit below that. But so now to fast forward to what got me to the point that I'm at now, I was always into the arts, and within the arts is also a lot of you search for financial freedom, you search for ways to help people. Um, so it those values have kind of carried over for me into this career because I can do the same thing here, and so the faster route to what got me here was I had a friend who was also an artist, but he also did life insurance. And he was like, hey, like I can be my own boss doing this. I can help out other people while doing this, work on my mindset, and I still have time to work on my art as well. You should give it a shot. And so
Mm.
then that's what I was like, sounds like a cool thing to do. In training is when I got my own appreciation for life insurance, though, because you learn about the different applications for it and the ways that it literally saves families. And I
Yeah.
was like, it is almost illegal for people not to know about this.
Mm.
It's so important.
So good. It's so important. Yeah. What would you say that you like the most outside of being your own boss? What else would you say you like the most about the insurance industry so far?
So far, I think the amount of people who are willing to help over the
Yeah.
past few days. So the way that I grew up as well, I was always big on being like self-sufficient, self-reliant. I never was one to reach out for things because I didn't want to be a bother to people.
Okay.
However, in this industry, people are almost looking for people to help. They're like, and but like genuinely, not even just for the sake of their company, because people have reached out to me and been like, "Hey, I know you're from a different company, but here's a tip or XYZ." I think that
Yeah.
the what I like the most is the fact that everybody wants everybody to win, which I haven't seen in any other industry.
Mm. It's pretty rare. You know, I
Yeah.
wish I wish we could say it was actually that way for the entire industry, but it's cool that you think that already, which is awesome. Okay, which means you're in the right circles. Okay, which is
Yeah.
really cool. What would you say you like the least about the insurance industry so far?
That if you don't reach out, you can get lost.
Yeah.
I didn't reach out for a long time. I think you were actually the second person that I was like, hey, they're like if they're opening this avenue, let me try to see if they're down to help,
Yeah.
So I that's when I reached out to you with the story. I happened to just see your story actually on Instagram and was like, see what happens.
Wow. I don't know why I'm getting goosebumps as you share that because we don't always respond the way we did. I don't know if it was you. I don't know if it was timing, the way you said things. Your story just really resonated with me, and I wanted to, dude. I want to help if I can. I'm also. I'm. This is a side note. At the end of this, um, I'm going to be gifting you a 1 year membership of Rising Star. It's $1,000 coaching program that we do, and I'm going to do it for
Wow.
free and throw you in there. And literally after this, I don't know what you're doing later, but our weekly Rising Star call is every Monday at 4 Central, 5 Eastern, where you're at, and that's where I bring on a co-host. We've had several people from, Secure Insurance Group, FFL, like all these different places around the country, right? That we bring in, and then they share their story. Um, and they're able to help as a co-host. So I appreciate you doing this. We're going to keep going, but I wanted to let you know I'm going to make sure I do that. So
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
yeah, you're welcome, buddy. Appreciate that. How much? What I mean, how have you made any money yet?
I did a case on myself and,
Okay,
have
okay.
money from that,
There you go.
you
There you
know.
go. Getting high on
But
the is getting high on his own supply.
yeah, now what I will say though, did a call with somebody from one of the lead generating companies,
Okay.
and because they're doing some kind of a business deal with a specific carrier. And in speaking with him, he was like, "Hey, you seem really cool, and I have been trying to get life insurance for a while. Can you work with me to try and figure this out?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to." So we've been working together on getting that done. So hopefully, I'll have something for you with that.
Good, man. Absolutely. What would you say some of the, I mean, what would you say some of the struggles have been? Has it been working the phones? Has it been booking appointments? Have you ran any appointments? Like, what's been happening so far?
So the struggle for me has just been a lack of funds for good leads. I have done the reaching out to family and friends thing, which nobody has required of me. But like I said, upon realizing how important it is, I was like, I should reach out to them just to give them the option, you know.
Yep.
But
You
so
talking
yeah,
about like warm market,
I'm sorry,
like your warm market? Is that what you're?
my warm market. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
what I would call family and friends? Okay, yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So
Either
I
way, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it's really just been just getting good leads. I have no problem
Good.
calling, like pick up the phone.
Okay.
I have a history in doing like the arts and stuff, and that's an industry where we get a lot of no's relative to
Wow.
the one yes we might get in a year. When
Yes.
you audition for something, a lot of the time you'll get a no, and it's for a million reasons. You never know
Yeah.
what it is. You just have to know how to like, all right, put it behind you and get on to the next one. So making the calls is probably the easiest part for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, and where are you getting? Um, I mean, I could totally see you doing warm market age leads, and when you can, you could sprinkle in some new leads. But what are you doing from a lead standpoint so far?
So far, just purchasing them
Okay.
and then, being as prepared for the call before I actually get on the call as possible. And then trying to, hope I get through the first few sentences before they hear life insurance and hang up.
Yeah. Um, okay. Now, one of the things I would do is, have you made like a top? And there's been people that say don't call your warm market, whatever. But I still care about my friends and family, right? Um,
Yeah,
have you made like a top 100 list of your warm market?
not 100, but
Okay.
yes, I've made a
Okay.
list.
Okay, good. I would push to get to 100. And here's what I would do. I call it a rolling 100. So I would list out 100. I'm just giving you some activity thoughts, right? Because activity is
Yes.
going to push the needle for sure. Because what you really got to get to is to where you're sitting down and asking 10 people to buy every single week. Now that seems like a lot at this stage, but once the activity's high enough, right, and you're booking enough appointments, it's really not. But I would do what's called a rolling 100. So this is what I used to do years ago. You have, and I learned about this from somebody else, by the way. You put a list of 100 names. Every time someone um, buys or doesn't, you take them off the list. But you have to automatically add another name when you remove someone so that it's always 100 people and it's always rolling consistently. Now, you may say, well, Cody, wouldn't I run out of names? Like, how can I continue to add to this? Well, we meet people at restaurants, we meet people at church, right? There's family friends we didn't think about. We meet people at family reunions. Like there's just thing that happens where we meet people throughout the day that we don't normally think about, like our dentist, whatever, right? Like there's stuff that we go throughout our day that or every week that we could be adding to the list as someone we want to target, even though we're not really thinking about it at the time, right? So that's one idea.
Yes, no, actually, that makes a lot of sense. And I did something close to that when I was walking
Okay.
through the city the other week. I
Mm.
had heard these girls mention, yeah, and then we're moving back to Florida. I'm licensed in Florida, among a few other states. And so I was like, you want to, I kind of approached her about it just to see if it was something that she was interested in. She was not, but
That's all right.
definitely got to keep that mentality, like you said.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, you definitely tried. Yeah, yeah. So one would be warm market, right? Where you're always adding people to the list. Two would be age leads, just because from a budget standpoint, right? It sounds like you are tight on funds, right? We'll just call it that naturally. Um, I can probably even find some age leads I could give you, but there's different places you can go and find aged leads. I'm talking a few, 10 cents, a dollar, whatever, right? That you can use and grab. Have you tried anything like that just to have a bunch of people to call?
No, no, I
Okay.
haven't tried that.
Okay. That would be a good idea just from an activity standpoint. Because really
Yeah.
what I really believe in is having some type of weekly system, right? To where, okay, every week I know what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna produce me at least 15 set appointments, at least 10 sits, and at least 5 sales per week, right? So really what I focused on early, the only reason I made 117 grand at 20, which I was very lucky to do while playing basketball and all that and going to college, was because I made sure that whether I was knocking on doors or cold calling or whatever, I made sure that I made sure I had I sat down with at least 10 people every single week. So what I would really start thinking about is, okay, how do I start writing this down every single day? I'm going to meet with 10 people this week. I'm going to meet with 10 people this week, and then really track your activity and your numbers. And just no matter what, like the whole week is focused on, at least that's an initial step. There's obviously other levels to this, but hey, how can I sit with 10 people every single week, right? Like, how can I do that? And if that is the sole complete focus, it's funny, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen, right? Are you running in-home or virtual appointments when you're setting them?
I'm running. So what I've been trying to do is I do run virtual appointments when that comes up.
Yep.
However, I have been looking. One of the training things that I've been going through is about one call closing. I actually would like your opinion on that because I did your training as well, and your training definitely focuses on getting that appointment efficiently and quickly, and then handling the appointment when it comes. But what do you think about one call closing?
I mean, I like it if I'm focused on just a full telesales atmosphere. I'm going to build a call center, whatever. But in your case, you've got to. It's easier for to get some small wins. It's easier for you to just go and book an appointment versus try to get a sell on the first call. So even if I'm selling virtually, right? Even if I'm doing all virtual sales, I would approach it and I would book an appointment. That'd be the goal, right? And then once I got the appointment, whether it's through Zoom or phone, I would set it for like later that day or the next day, trying to get too far out, 48 hours max. And then I would send a reminder, et cetera. But I would come back and jump on the phone and then use that appointment as like a chance to close, right? But once you've got on the appointment, because really, like a lot of places will use like Mondays and Thursdays as dial days, to where Mondays and Thursdays you're making dials and you're doing that. For Monday you're calling for Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday you're calling for Friday and Saturday, and then your whole goal that entire day, it really simplifies, makes it easier. Because if Monday, at the day we're recording this, if your goal was like, hey, my goal no matter what is to book 8 appointments today, right? 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. How can I book 4 before lunch? How can I book 4 after lunch, right? And then it really
Right.
kind of breaks it down into some actionable steps, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I do think that that is important. I suppose then what I would say, maybe for other people in my position, is to set goals that I don't want to say that are achievable because any goal that you can give is achievable.
Sure.
I would say, I guess, start off a little bit smaller because I was like, all right, boom, my first month. And I did all the calculating of how many appointments and how many calls I would have to do. And I was like, easily, all right, boom, I'm going to knock out 100,000 my first month, which I think is very possible. It
Sure.
just, you definitely have to have all of the right knowledge first, the right mindset first. At a point where I thought that I was ready, I learned some more stuff, and then I thought
Yeah.
back to that point, and I was like, "There's no way I was ready at that moment."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How many what's the most dials you've ever made at
Mhm.
one time? And you may not have had stuff to dial, right? It's okay. But what would that answer be?
At one time, I made 150 calls.
Okay. That's solid. And what were do you remember how many answered and how many booked appointments and that kind of some of the stats? or how long it
Yes.
took?
Yes, it took about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Mm,
It There was one appointment booked. That appointment fell through. And then for most of the rest of the numbers, they were disconnected.
yeah.
It was a list that I had gotten from somebody, some aged leads. Um, I guess they were very much so aged because, as I said, a lot of the numbers weren't even working anymore. I think I reached out of the 100 unique calls I made,
Yep.
reached maybe 10 people.
Wow.
Yeah, the rest were disconnected.
One of the things that does work, and it wouldn't work if they're disconnected, but texting for our team and a lot of the agents that we work with, texting works really, really, really well. So I mean, especially with like an age lead, it wouldn't work with like a cold call. It could work with warm market. It could work with aged. It could definitely work with new. Um, Texting is a great way to book some appointments because a lot of people would say, okay, well, Cody, what do you think about me hiring an appointment setter and all this stuff? Well, really, you need to get good at it yourself. You need to make some sales, you need to make some money so that you can start hiring some of those things out eventually, right?
Yeah.
What would you say a bulk of your activity is spent on each week right now? If you had to like audit say you worked a 40-hour insurance career, right? If you had to audit those 40 hours, what would you say? And you may be working other stuff or doing something to earn some money. I get it. But what would you say that looks like?
A lot of preparing, a lot of training,
Okay.
because I get some kind of money this week, from that case that I did on myself, and with that, I've budgeted out to start purchasing leads, from specific vendors that have you know been referred by like specific people,
Yep.
and so like once I have those, I'm hoping to really see what my system can turn out to be. Because I've drafted systems, I've tried to work systems out with the things that I've had on hand,
Yep.
but I look forward to really starting to be able to get something together.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
if you
other than that, a lot of my focus has just been trying to figure out, my financial situation, and I've had to move in the past 2 months like two times,
wow.
because I've just been trying to figure things out. Thankfully, my grandmother she had agreed to help me out during this time, which is where I'm at right now. But if not for her, then definitely would have been in a much worse situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thankful for her for sure. When you think about um your week and like okay, for example, like when you're talking about preparing and training, right, and the other things, um if you can ever get out of your comfort zone enough to just totally flip that on its head to where your everything you do is prospecting related, to where, okay, Cody, I'm actually going to try to spend, even if it's 16 hours a week. Okay, we can just start there, to where, Cody, I'm either prospecting or I'm presenting, right? And in your case, you don't have appointments, you're only prospecting, right? But really in insurance, I really believe as an agent, the only thing that can actually get you closer to making money is prospecting or presenting, right? It's technically not preparing. It's technically not training, even though some of those things are important. But a lot of times you would probably agree, and this can help other agents watching, that it's easy, instead of doing activity or prospecting, to just be preparing or training, right?
Definitely that. I
Yeah.
considered that myself. I was like, now I do wonder at what point am I over preparing and like just being comfortable preparing and not really taking that lead. Because even though phone calls aren't hard for me to make,
Yeah.
making that first phone call, it always does take
Dude.
something.
Yeah,
Definitely.
man. Yeah, it's hard for everybody, right? And you just said it yourself. And you're right, by the way. And I kudos and total respect for you willing to admit it. You have over prepared. There is no question about it, right? Because at some point you have to prospect enough to give yourself a chance to succeed. Because I can tell you, um, you're very coachable. You're very eloquent. You're impressive. Great
Thank you.
personality. Like you have the traits, right? But You won't have the skill that you say you don't have when you talk to 10 and book one, whatever, right? Which isn't bad, actually, really, from age leads. That's actually still pretty good. The problem is you only talk to 10, right? Now, if the word number is disconnected, is there anything you can do? No, right? You can't text, you can't call, like, you could door knock, right? If you want to book and go door knock, like I used to do a ton of that. But really, if I'm telling you, you flip that on its head and you start talking to 100 people a week that actually answer the phone or that actually
Yeah.
respond to text or whatever versus 10, imagine the results you would have. Imagine how much more confident you would be. Imagine how much skill you would be. And imagine how freaking fat your bank account would eventually get. That wouldn't suck, would it?
No, it
Right?
wouldn't.
Dude, what would you like to leave from this episode, man? What have you thought? What have you learned? And what would you like to share?
I would say that I've definitely learned a lot. There have been a lot of reinforcing thoughts,
Okay.
because as I said, I was pondering over the fact that maybe I'd been sitting too much in that comfort zone, like you said, of
Yeah.
just be doing the preparation thing. But action always is going to take the W. Action is
Yeah,
always
man.
going to take the W.
That's it,
Uh,
dude.
yeah.
Every morning, here's what I want you to do. Every morning when you wake up, okay, I want you to follow a daily routine, whatever it is. You probably heard mine. I don't know, maybe you haven't, but you need a daily routine, something you do every day, right? Have you heard mine?
I believe I have heard it.
Okay, so find a daily routine and then incorporate into your daily routine and write down. Here's what I'm going to do today. Whether it's I'm going to make 8, whether it's I'm going to talk to 8 people, whether it's I'm going to make 150 dials, whether I'm going to make it activity related, not sales related, not revenue related, not commission related. Just I'm going to do this today. I'm going to send out 250 texts to age leads. I'm going to make, I'm going to take this money. I'm going to buy new leads today. Like that's a win, right? I'm going to go and you know, I'm going to book 3 appointments today, no matter what. I don't care what I got to do. I don't care who you're going to talk to, right? I'm going to book 3 appointments today. Like make it activity related, make it a game of yourself every day. Focus on accomplishing something, even if it's small, right? Like there's an old story of a guy that was struggling with confidence. And he went to his mentor and said, dude, I don't know why, but I never do what I say I'm going to do. He says, okay, do this. He said, every morning, I want you to go around. I want you to walk around the block, around your house, around the block. And I want you to do it every day for a month. And what's funny is it was so small, so easy. Anybody could do it. But at the end of 30 days, he wasn't lying to himself. He was doing everything he said he could do. He gained confidence. Like these little wins can really start to stack up. And there's no doubt, dude, you're a 6-figure earner. You're a 7-figure earner when you freaking start taking some action. I'm telling you, it will happen, but it can't happen unless you make it happen. Okay.
Right, absolutely. And one thing that I will say, as well for the other people who are in my position, there's a book, I cannot remember the title, but it's by Bob Proctor.
Okay.
And I know you know the book.
I'm thinking
I wish
about it.
that I could give you the title, but basically in it, there's a point where it's telling a story about a man or a family that struck gold, and they, were of course living off of that for a long time, and then they couldn't seem to find anymore where they were at, and they abandoned the place. They were like, all right,
Mm.
well, I guess that's it. They gave away their machine to this man. Yeah, he got the machine
This is
fixed
in
up.
thinking. This is in Think and Grow Rich. Keep going. Keep going.
Yes, that. Yeah. And so he fixed up the machine for a cheap price they sold it to him for, because they saw no more use in it. And he had the land checked out. Turned out, if he was told that if that family or that man had just dug 3 more feet, they would have found a whole lot more gold. And that story, funny enough, I read it a few days before I was in a spot where I just really wanted to give up so badly. Like, it was maybe the one time in my life that I ever was really just like, I don't think I can do this.
Mm.
You know, literally like 3 days afterward, I just kept going regardless of how I felt. 3 days after, right? Just like it was 3 feet after, 3 days after, I had a major stroke of success
Mm,
in this thing that I was doing. So my generation, we do TikTok a lot.
yeah.
Um, and so and one of the things I always wanted to do was like reach 1,000 followers on TikTok. And I was at like 50. The 3 days later, I was at like 1,500.
Wow.
So it's like lessons in life can easily be moved into other areas as well. You never know when you are just the 3 days away from really hitting it big in whatever you're trying to do.
Come on now. I love it. I love it. Okay. Give it up for Kumasi. Kumasi, thank you for being on today. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Cody.
Dude, I've really enjoyed it. Okay, for those listening, okay, if you ever want to be on the Rising Star podcast, you need to first be in Rising Star. Go to CodyAskins.com/Rising Star. That's a coaching, training, and accountability group where we are helping agents just like you become a rising star in the insurance industry. If you'd like to be on the podcast, let us know. We'll try to make it work. We're also giving Mr. Kumasi Hopkins out of Queens 1-year membership of Rising Star absolutely free. So we'll get you the details there. Okay, appreciate him being on. Give him some
Thank
love
you.
and comments. We will see everybody really soon. Thanks for listening to the first ever episode, which drops every Friday, 8 a.m. of Rising Star. If you love this video, you know I got another one that you're going to love. I got a video just to your right here. Click on that. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. And I'll see you in there.
That's when we made the jump. I walked away from my $5 million book and all the bonuses, and people thought I was crazy. I was probably one of the first people in town to leave captive agency.